All right, let's talk California recruiting here. There's really two threads that I want to focus on. One is the overall raw talent in California and the status of that. And two is how the four major universities in California have been recruiting all of this over the past decade. So let's go back to circle number one, the overall raw talent in California. Now, traditionally, high school recruiting, there's been the big three, and that has been California, Texas, and Florida. And California has firmly been in there as like one of the three best states to acquire talent from a state that has produced a ton of talent over the years. So a lot of the teams have been focusing their recruiting at a national level from those three states. They traditionally produce the most blue chippers of 4 and 5 stars every year. That has changed a little bit over the past decade. California has dipped a little bit, losing a little bit of their market share, while Georgia has been on the rise. Georgia has now could argue that they have surpassed California in terms of blue chip talent coming out of that state. California has been on the decline, and that has really affected them and had a big trickle down effect into what's happening. So right now, we have in the 2024 class, there's 8 of the top 10 players from California versus Florida. Has 13. Georgia has a bunch in there as well. So over the past years, California has been dipping specifically along the line of scrimmage. Offensive and defensive linemen, they do not come out of the state of California very often. Schools go to the South or to the Midwest to get those hog mollies up front, those edge guys. California doesn't produce a lot of them. They produce a lot of quarterback, skill position, running back, receivers, corners. That's really what they're good at. And within that, they got two behemoths in the high school ranks of St. John Bosco and Mater Dei. Those are really their blue blood schools that pump out a lot of talent, private schools in Los Angeles. But overall, their number of blue chip talent has been declining, and Georgia has really taken up a lot of that market share. So now let's get to the California schools, the universities that should be recruiting their in-state talent. They have not done a very good job at doing so. So in this class, in the 2024 class, 8 of the top 100 players are from California. Not one of them is committed to a California school. Now, of the top 25 kids ranked in the state of California, 4 of them are committed to a California school, 3 of them being USC. Now, there's 4 major universities in the state of California that operate at the Power 5 level, the traditional Power 5 level. Let's look at Florida as a comparison, who is also part of, the typical big three. Florida has 13 top 100 players. That's 5 more than California. But the most important one is they have 14 of their top 25 committed to Florida schools, and those Florida schools being Miami, Florida, and Florida State. So they have 14, Florida does, versus 4 in California. So Billy Napier and Mike Norvell and Mario Cristobal, they've done a great job of recruiting and keeping their talent in state, and California has not. These guys know, the guys who come out of California, that pretty much the sport runs through the South and a couple programs in the Midwest. So that's where they're heading. They're either heading out there, or honestly, who's done a really good job recruiting in California are the 2 northern states, Washington and Oregon. So now with the new landscape, all 4 of these major universities in California joining different conferences. You got Stanford and Cal joining the ACC, and you got USC and UCLA joining the Big Ten. How's that going to fare? I think probably Cal and Stanford will even plummet even further, because they're going to have to recruit guys in their own state to have to travel all the way over to the East Coast. Now, that will happen with USC and UCLA, but USC and UCLA now have that Big Ten sticker on their helmet that they'll be able to lure people in. So we'll see how Lincoln Riley and for the moment Chip Kelly does for recruiting California. But right now they've lost their grip on keeping talent in state and producing at a high level. So we'll see how that fares as we enter in the new world of college football.